Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Karim Zafri bin Zamzuri, and today my group and I will present to you on casting, or is also known as foundry. So, my group members are Zara Zaina and Muhammad Hafizuddin bin Abdul Halim. Casting or foundry is defined as a process which generally means pouring molten metal into refractory mold with a cavity of the shape to be made and allowing it to solidify. So the objective of doing casting, or specifically sand casting, is to gain knowledge and necessary skill in conducting the process of sand casting and preparation of mold. So these are the steps on how to conduct sand casting process. So in sand casting, we use a flask, which is a two-part box consists of locating pins. The top part is called a cope and the bottom part is called a drag. So our group have decided to come up with this pattern. So it is a mouse, but we assume it as a pattern. Normally, a pattern can be separated into two parts. One with locating pins and one with holes. Some patterns need to use cores because they have hollow and cavity projections. So with cores, it helps creating the cavity and hollow projections. So for the casting process, we put aside the cope and we turn over the drag. When we turn over the drag, it is called inverted drag. And then we place the pattern with holes. The pattern is separated into two, one with holes and one with locating pins. So we take the pattern with holes and we place it flat in the drag. So, and make sure we place the pattern not too close or touching the edges of the drag, and leave some space for the next molding work. After we put the pattern in the drag, we sprinkle a bit of putty powder. The function of putty powder is to help us remove the pattern from the sand when opening the mold. And then we fill the drag with sand. If we want to protect our hands, wear gloves while filling the drag with sand. We don't fill the drag in one go because it will provide a hard surface. We fill the drag stage by stage. And once we fill the drag with sand, we press the sand down onto the pattern and ram the sand using a ramming tool. As you can see here, a ramming tool has one flat end and one has a tapered end. The function of this tapered end is to get into corners. After that, we add some more layers of the sand until the sand fills the drag, and we ram it again. And after that, we undergo a process called strickling, where we level off the surface of the drag from overfilling sands. We use a strickling bar, and after it is done, we then turn the drag over. So the next steps of sand casting will be further explained by my group mates. And that is all for me. Thank you, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Zara and I'll be explaining a part of the casting process. After the drag has been flipped, the other half of the pattern is placed. Next, we're going to place the cope on top of the drag, then we dust some parting powder. Over here, the parting powder will help us to release the pattern from the sand, and also it prevents the two sand layers in the cope and drag from sticking to each other. Next, we have to place a sprue pin in the corner and make sure that the pin does not touch the sides of the box and the pattern as well. The sprue pin will act as a runner, and the function of the runner is so that the metal, in this case aluminium, could fill the cavity of the mold. Then we fill the cope with sand, and we use a ramming tool to make sure that the sand is tight and firm. Remove excess sand with a strickling bar. Finally, we give it a light tap to the sprue pin and twist it to remove it from the sand.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Hafizuddin. metric number 2017019. Okay, I will continue the next step. Okay, the next step is we need to add some hole by pressing in a piece of wire, which allows any air to escape and any amount of smoke that may be produced by the oil burning out. After that, we split the two halves of the flask, giving them a gentle tap and then lifting the pattern cleanly. Same with the other half. After that, we cut a gate. We cut a gate to need need to ensure that there is no loose end. After that, we must wear goggles to make sure nothing blow back into your eyes. The next step is use two parts of blocks to give it some strength, and then lay across the place the two have to go together. Okay, after finish it, we take a break of 5 until 10 minutes to guard a pot of molten metal. Please be aware of your own safety. After that, we provide supply methods within the mold to keep feeding. We must add maybe up to 15 more meters to the mold. We need to cool down for 10 or 15 minutes, and then we break out the casting carefully. Okay, the last step is we must remove the sand from the core and cut the screw off. Okay, that's all for me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.